Meteorologist Brittany Van Voorhees is here in studio. Brittany, it's just been we say it, I feel like we've been saying this for months now as far as roller coaster, as far as the weather. And also, too, I should say, before we get to that, I'm sorry I didn't keep my promise.
Oh, about dropping the humidity.
Yeah, I tried.
Yeah, you might need to call an engineer for that.
I tried though. But
yeah. Nick messaged me asking me if I'd come on the stream, and I said bring the humidity down, and then I'll think about it. I'm here.
It's a humid, cold.
It's a cold and clammy room right now.
Yeah. So it's we have an interesting climate here in the Impact Studio.
Not as bad as the real studio.
Yeah, I was about to say, not as bad as what's happening outside. So what are we dealing with outside?
Well, today is still humid, but similar to yesterday, we are going to see more storms. So that's kind of been the pattern shift over the last few days, is that more storms has resulted in lower temperatures overall. So we only got to a heat index of 101 yesterday. So that essentially broke, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, about 5 to 6 days in a row of temperatures, or feels like temperatures that is at or above 103. Again, we know that 103 is typically that threshold for increased heat-related illness impact. So it's kind of like yesterday, we're going to see a similar story today where the rain is mostly scattered. Temperatures will still be in the 90s, so we're still on that streak of 90 degrees plus, but we are eventually, of course, going to see that break heading into the second half of the week, heading into the weekend as well. Here's your hourly forecast. Again, scattered storms mainly in the afternoon. Tomorrow, we will look to see a better chance of rain and storms lingering into the afternoon and evening, and potentially even late evening and overnight, kind of like what we had last night, where we saw some rumbles of thunder and some nice, developing rainfall actually past the 11 o'clock newscast, which is not something you typically see this time of year. We talked about this so much, but once again, a reminder that we are on track to be the number 2 hottest July on record here in the Queen City. We're currently tied for the number 2 spot, but based on our current forecast, we will likely get to 84.9. That's our current forecast. So 1993 still holding strong with the number 1 spot, but I always say that these are records that we don't enjoy necessarily breaking, especially Saturday, of course, where we broke that record of 100 degrees, getting to 101. It was the first time in a decade that we've had multiple 2 to 3 days, of course, in a row of actual air temperature reaching at or above 100. But again, we're shifting from the heat impact back to the rain impact. We're looking at weather alert conditions tomorrow because of an increased risk of flash flooding. That, of course, those training storms, where the storms that develop on top of each other, relatively slow moving too, because we're not really looking at a cold front to help really push some of those storms out of there. We'll eventually have a backdoor front that will help get the rain out of here, but as it's stalled across us, that's when it's kind of increasing that overall moisture content. So biggest impact with storms tomorrow, again, is going to be localized flooding. We'll have some gusty winds. We'll have some lightning, some hail impacts as well. But the winds will be closer to about 40 to 50, so likely below severe weather criteria. Lots of lightning potential, and of course, some small hail. So that's when we classify, strong storms versus technical severe storms. And I will just go ahead and mention this and kind of tease ahead to live weather impact coming up tonight at 6:30 on WCNC Plus with Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich. But a study actually just came out today, was just dropped today, about lightning strikes, and we always talk about how they can be well out of the center of a thunderstorm. And there was a new study dropped today where researchers found that we have a new record for a lightning strike away from the parent thunderstorm. 515 miles. This was for a storm cluster that was back in October of 2017. I'll let Brad get into the nitty gritty, but I do think that once again kind of shows that impact that we talk about a lot when it comes to lightning, about how far it can strike from the center of a storm. Normally in the Carolinas, we're talking 20, 30 miles. Previous record was, I believe, 150, but now 515, so that's kind of crazy. That's like seeing a lightning strike in Florida, but the parent thunderstorm is in North Carolina, just to give you some perspective there. All right, so flooding tomorrow we know is a big issue, mainly afternoon and evening, so a lot of it is going to be second half of the day. We've already seen some rain today, but this will be mostly pushed to the afternoon and evening tomorrow. Again, flash flooding, heavy rain with some of those slow-moving thunderstorms. We'll remind people once again, turn around, don't drown. We never, never, never want to drive through a flooded roadway. The water could be higher than you think. The bridge, maybe you're passing over, even the roadway could be washed away. And so that, of course, is what we're looking at for Friday. So here's that frontal boundary. It stalls, bringing us better rain chances on Friday. And then we will see some rain early Saturday before it eventually starts to push out of here by Sunday. So we'll see really, really big impacts. Of course, we already know temperature-wise, with temperatures dropping into the 80s this weekend, some days in the upper 70s. But it's really going to be a humidity drop that you'll notice between Saturday and Sunday. So rain Friday into Saturday morning, look at these spots. Now, I remind people all the time here, rainfall forecast, when we look at model data, it's guidance, not gospel. So it doesn't mean that Charlotte specifically will have 3 inches, or Wadesboro specifically has 3 inches. But notice some pockets of areas have really heavy rain and a lot of significant increased, flooding potential, and then other areas don't. So you have 1.1 in Hickory, but you got 3.3 in Salisbury. Again, that doesn't mean that necessarily those spots are going to see those exact rainfall totals, but what it does mean is what we always refer to as feast or famine. Some areas will see heavy rain that just trains over the same spots, and your BFF who lives 5 miles away might not have the same impact. So it's going to be really isolated flash flooding. So please make sure you're especially keeping a close eye on not just your area, but other areas. I'm using this example here, like you don't have any rain at your house, so you go out Friday night. I don't know, it's I guess high school football is not back yet, of course, because school's not back in session, but you're doing something Friday afternoon, you start to drive out of your specific area, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's flash flooding. Well, it's because it might not have happened where your house is, but it happened where somewhere else's is. And of course, we're already going to be saturated from all the rain we had last night, and the rain we'll get today, which increases that risk also. So here's Futurecast tomorrow, 12 o'clock. You'll see rain just kind of increases and increases as we go hour by hour, developing over the same spots. And then there's Friday night. It will linger into Saturday morning. So that's something that, of course, Becca will be tracking on WCNC in the morning. Any lingering rain I'll be tracking when I get in the afternoon. And then at least we get drier conditions by Sunday. So 7-day forecast. Scattered storms again today. I would expect that if you are going to Charlotte FC, we'll be keeping a very close eye on the storm potential close to Bank of America Stadium. The threshold, remember folks, is 8 miles. And that's relatively conservative. It's actually pretty standard, 8 to 10 miles for most stadium sports arenas, that are outdoors. But remember, 10 to 20 miles an hour, or 10 to 20 miles from the center of the parent thunderstorm. So I know sometimes I think people get irritated, when they go to a match or a game like this, and then they're like, oh, another lightning delay. But just remember, it's for your safety. Weather alert, of course, Friday because of the afternoon and evening storm potential with training storms. Saturday, Sunday, we're cooler, a little bit drier, especially by Sunday. But the difference between Friday and Saturday and even Sunday is just going to be a world of difference. I think everybody who has been just battered by the heat and humidity the past few days is really excited, not only just for, lesser heat and humidity, but also an opportunity for rain. We say it all the time. We don't want too much rain in a short period of time, but right now we are under drier than normal conditions, so we do need a lot to get back to normal. In fact, I was just looking at the official. I think we're 1.5, 2 inches drier than normal for the month of July. Yeah, we're 2.06 inches below average for right now. And so a lot of rain, short period of time, not just, of course, would normally have a flash flood risk, but because the soil has been so dry, it takes, a few days to kind of get semi-saturated again. So when you see too much rain in a short period of time, I'll have people ask oh, well, if we haven't seen rain, that's good because, it's able to, suck into the ground, but not necessarily. If it's too dry, everything kind of shrivels, and so it creates easier chance for the water to pass over. So you gotta, it's like the not Red Riding Hood. It's like Goldilocks. It's got to be just right? Not too much rain, not too little rain,
but
it's
just
right.
Right. You know what is just right? Sunday.
Oh,
I'm so excited.
I'm excited too. I'm like,
Sunday's gonna be a good day.
In fact, if I'm being completely honest, I'm excited about not having to come in 3 hours early like the past 2 weekends to do hourly updates. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's
love you, WCNC Plus, but
because the weather's been so extreme. Extreme heat. Now we're having. I was telling somebody, I'm like, man, it's gonna be. At the time, it said 83 on Sunday, and I was like, it's gonna be 83, and they're like, okay, and I'm like, no, you don't get it. It's like a 20-degree swing. It's gonna feel like what?
Incredible.
Yeah, incredible. I was gonna say May.
Incredible.
May was like the last time we've had this type of weather, right?
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at the specific numbers, but yeah, June was really hot, so yeah, most likely May. And I mean, not only that, it's not even just the fact that the temperature is lower, but also it's going to be drier, so it will just feel better.
It feels like, that's what I learned from Brittany. It's not about the actual temperature. It feels like temperature.
Mm-hmm.
It's because what people always say, which is just funny. I said this at the beginning of my weather IQ that I know we've ran a million times now. It feels like about humidity, but what I feel like people in the South versus like the South east versus southwest. We'll also say it's a dry heat. You know, it's not the heat, it's the humidity. No, it's the heat and the humidity.
Yeah.
It's a combination of the two. They get married, they have heat index,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody is having a good time.
Look, it was a back and forth when I was in Detroit, and I was going back and forth with somebody who lives in Phoenix, and they were like, it's 100 degrees. I was like, no, but it's hot. So we were going back. It was a pointless argument.
Yeah.
But I wish I had you there. I should have just called you up and said,
Yeah.
all
Well,
right.
Air temperature versus feels like. They don't really get feels like temperatures because
Yeah.
they're not muggy.
Right.
So they're
Like-
like heat. What's heat index? They're like the feels like temperature. We only know that as wind chill, which we get both. Lucky us.
Oh,
We get it all.
Brittany Van Voorhees, thank you for your time.
Mixer.
Don't.
Mixer.
Okay, look,
Yeah.
I deserve one slip up.
Oh, I don't.
Okay. I'm just saying.
I just think it's funny because it seems like every single time I come on, something silly happens. And we end up joking around.
Because you bring good energy into the Live Impact studio. Brittany is going to be back with her good energy in the next hour, 1:30 to be exact. So Brittany, we will see you in a little
Start
bit.
working on fixing the air in here while I'm gone.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Trying.
Oh man! All right, I'm looking forward to Sunday. Carlene's looking forward to Sunday. Brittany's looking forward to Sunday. So yeah, we will tell you on Monday how Sunday felt for us and our plans.